The Buffalo Bills are living a dream start. 3 wins in 3 games, and they've managed to reach that mark before most of the league has even played their third matchup. Against the Miami Dolphins, it wasn't always pretty, but it was the kind of win that reveals maturity, patience, and the ability to capitalize on mistakes. Buffalo walked away with a victory by 10 points, 31-21. And while that number on the scoreboard tells part of the story, the details show a team that knows how to win in multiple ways. Josh Allen is the heartbeat of this roster, and what stood out in this game wasn't a highlight reel of massive deep shots, but rather his poise, his patience, and his willingness to play the game Miami's defense forced him into. He completed 22 of 28 passes for just over 200 yards, 3 touchdowns through the air, and added 25 yards on the ground. That's not a stat line that screams fireworks, but it is the type of performance that demonstrates maturity. Miami lined up in deep zone looks, cover 2, and cover 4 shells, trying to flood zones, keep the ball in front, and dare Buffalo to dink and dunk their way down the field. Allen didn't bite on the temptation to force throws into heavy coverage. He simply took what was available, worked within the pocket, extended plays when necessary, and delivered strikes that moved the chains. That level of decision-making is exactly what the Bills have needed him to show, and it paid off. There were still flashes of the spectacular. On the first touchdown, Allen squeezed a throw into that soft spot between safeties, Dalton Kincaid making the grab and turning it into a catch-and-run score. Later, Allen rolled to his left, manipulated the defense, and delivered a short flick for a rookie's first touchdown in the league, a moment the entire sideline erupted over. And when the game was hanging in the balance late, he connected with Khalil Shakir, a quick throw that allowed Shakir to use his yards-after-catch ability and sprint into the end zone, sealing the win. Each play was a blend of discipline and flair, exactly the balance that Allen has been searching for. Kincaid deserves his own spotlight. 5 catches on 6 targets, 66 yards, and a score, and if not for one strong defensive play, he could have had multiple touchdowns. He has quickly become more than just a reliable target. He's the guy who can tilt the field after the catch, finding space, breaking tackles, and extending drives. For a young player, the way he's positioning himself as a safety valve and a chain mover is impressive. His chemistry with Allen is obvious and growing each week. Then there's Elijah Moore, carving out a role at crucial times. His numbers don't jump off the page. 2 catches, 30 yards, and an 11-yard run, but the timing of his contributions is everything. On 2nd and 16, needing a conversion to keep control of the game, Moore found a hole in the zone, gave Allen a clear target, and helped flip the situation from behind the sticks to a fresh set of downs. Plays like that don't always make the highlights, but they're the lifeblood of winning football. Khalil Shakir also had a breakout moment for catches for 45 yards, including that decisive touchdown. His ability to create after the catch is something Buffalo has desperately needed in its offense. The fact that he delivered at such a high leverage point in the game shows he's ready for the responsibility. And Tyrell Shavers chipped in with a couple of first down grabs of his own, underscoring how Buffalo is starting to spread the ball around and get real production from depth players. James Cook continues to be the steady force in the backfield. 19 carries for 108 yards, plus 3 receptions, another 100-plus yards from scrimmage day. That makes 3 straight games this season where he's cracked the century mark. Back-to-back games over 100 yards rushing for total touchdowns so far. Cook has gone from a promising young runner to a star who could be counted on every single week. He's showing burst, patience, balance through contact, and toughness that defies his size. More importantly, he's showing reliability. He's not just padding stats behind good blocking. He's creating his own yards and keeping defenses off balance. What helps Cook is the way Buffalo leans into heavier personnel sets. With 2 or even 3 tight ends on the field, the offense creates stress points all across the defensive line. Extra gaps to account for, credible blocking, Allen's threat as a runner, and Cook's vision make for a nightmare to defend. Defenses are forced to stay honest, and that opens lanes both in the ground game and in short to intermediate passing. It's become a real identity for this offense, one that feels sustainable and dangerous. Defensively, Buffalo had its ups and downs, but one play turned out to be the dagger. With just over 3 minutes remaining, Miami was driving deep in Bills territory, looking to tie the game. That's when linebacker Terrell Bernard stepped into a throwing lane and picked off Tua Tagovailoa. It was a massive moment, a momentum swing that not only stopped Miami's comeback attempt, but set up the Bills to stretch the lead to 2 scores. Bernard had been active all game, tackles, a pass breakup, a tackle for loss, and he delivered when it mattered most. The defensive line didn't always make his job easy, often losing gaps and failing to generate consistent pressure, but Bernard rose to the occasion. That's part of the story of this game. Buffalo never allowed Miami to cash in fully. The Dolphins made their share of mistakes, penalties, roughing the punter, missed assignments, and the Bills were disciplined enough not to hand momentum back. That's the sign of a veteran group. They understand that sometimes the best way to win isn't to dominate every possession, but to avoid giving away opportunities and wait for the opponent to slip. Still, the defense has issues to iron out, especially on third downs. Miami converted 11 of 16 chances on third and fourth down, many of them long situations. It was maddening to watch Buffalo play well enough on early downs only to give it away by failing to get off the field. The pass rush didn't hit home, with Tagovailoa dropping back 30-plus times and not getting sacked once. The coverage on the perimeter suffered because the rush wasn't disrupting timing. Against elite speed like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, that's asking for trouble. Ed Oliver's absence was felt, and the team needs more impact from players like Gregory Rousseau if this defense is going to rise to another level. On the other hand, the overall numbers, 21 points allowed, 276 total yards, are winning numbers. If you hold opponents to that kind of production every week, you're going to win far more than you lose. It's just about cleaning up the situational football, especially on third downs, where playoff-level games will be decided. Even with those concerns, this was another example of Buffalo finding different ways to win. Allen's maturity, Cook's consistency, Kincaid's emergence, clutch contributions from Shakir and more, and a timely defensive takeaway all came together to push the Bills to 3 wins in 3 tries. That's the kind of start every team dreams of, and it sets the stage for a home stretch that can shape their season even more. Special teams had their share of shaky moments in this battle with Miami, and it began right away with the opening kickoff. The Dolphins brought it back close to midfield, instantly giving themselves a short field and eating up nearly half of the first quarter on that first possession. That sort of breakdown puts the defense in a bind before they even have a chance to settle in. Later in the half, the missed field goal became another momentum swing. Instead of extending the lead to 2 scores, the Bills gave the ball back and allowed Miami to march on a long drive that drained clock and tied the game before halftime. Then came the muffed punt by the return unit, a play that could have been catastrophic had Buffalo not recovered. These are the types of miscues that can haunt a team in closer games, and while they didn't end up costing the Bills this time, they're reminders that execution in the third phase of the game needs to be sharper. There was, however, redemption late. Kicker Matt Prater drilled a crucial field goal to stretch the lead to 2 scores and essentially lock the game away. That kick, given the context, mattered far more than his earlier miss. Special teams are often about timing and clutch execution, and Prater delivered when the pressure was at its highest. Even with the miscues, Buffalo left the field with that unit having contributed to victory rather than loss. When reflecting on this game, one of the more frustrating elements was the inability to completely put Miami away earlier. Multiple times the Bills had the chance to build a 2-score cushion, and multiple times they came up empty. Drives stalled, play calling was conservative in key moments, and the lack of offensive rhythm at certain stretches allowed the Dolphins to hang around. For consecutive possessions in the middle of the game turned into punts, 2 for each team. Buffalo's defense did its job, but the offense failed to capitalize. This kept Miami in striking distance when the Bills should have been controlling the game script. That inability to fully dictate the tempo matters because it bleeds into complementary football. Missing a field goal, giving up a long drive, failing to score before the half, and then not maximizing the opening drive of the second half all stacked together. Instead of suffocating Miami, Buffalo gave them oxygen. And against a team with that much speed and explosive potential, one or two plays can flip a game. It's to the Bills' credit that they didn't panic, didn't deviate from their plan, and trusted their defense and their playmakers to swing the game back. Bernard's interception was exactly that swing. There is a theme developing in these first weeks. Buffalo's opponents are often the ones making the critical mistakes. The Jets couldn't move the ball in Week 2. The Ravens slipped when the game tightened, and now the Dolphins committed penalties, gave away field position, and turned it over in the red zone. That is not a coincidence. Part of the maturity of this Bills team is understanding how to apply just enough pressure, keep their own play clean, and wait for the break. Opponents know they have to play near perfect to beat Josh Allen and company, and in pressing to achieve that, they often falter. It's a formula that might not look like domination on every series, but over 60 minutes it wins. Of course, the pass rush remains a lingering concern. To see Tagovailoa drop back over 30 times and emerge essentially untouched is a red flag. The right side of Miami's offensive line was patched together with backups, and yet Buffalo never consistently collapsed the pocket. That absence of pressure let Tua deliver balls to the sideline with rhythm and accuracy. It also placed corners like Tre'Davious White and Christian Benford in extremely difficult situations. Try to stick with Hill and Waddle without help. That combination of weak rush and challenging assignments is not sustainable if the Bills want to hold up against the best teams later in the season. Reinforcements are coming, and the coaching staff will need to find the right mix of rotation and aggression to reignite this front. On the positive side, the linebacker unit has been a revelation. Bernard's rise is one story, but the overall communication, the filling of run gaps, and the ability to close down space in the middle of the field have all been consistent strengths. When defensive tackles get moved, it becomes much tougher for linebackers to shine, and yet Bernard found ways to make impact plays. That speaks to instincts and determination. It also shows that Buffalo's investment in finding fast, smart second-level defenders is paying off. Looking ahead, the Bills now enter a portion of their schedule heavy with home games, an advantage that can be leveraged to build early season momentum. Hosting the Saints next, Buffalo faces an opponent with serious questions at quarterback and an offense that hasn't found its identity. On paper, it looks like an opportunity to continue stacking wins and maybe even correct some of the issues that have been lingering, like third down defense and special teams lapses. The key will be not to let complacency creep in. The NFL is ruthless to teams that let their guard down, and while the Saints may not be a powerhouse, they're more than capable of making things complicated if Buffalo gives them openings. There's also a psychological benefit to winning on Thursday night. You get extra rest, extra prep time, and you get to watch the rest of the league play stress-free. That means recovery for banged-up players, more time to adjust schemes, and more film work for the coaching staff. For fans, it means sitting back over the weekend knowing your team is undefeated, knowing that no matter what else happens across the league, Buffalo has already handled its business. That kind of cushion allows confidence to build, and confidence is a powerful ingredient in a long season. Before we dive back in, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest Buffalo Bills updates straight to your screen. And hey, don't hold back. Let us know your thoughts on today's news down in the comments. Hold on to your helmets, NFL fans. What just happened in the league might be the biggest shakeup of the offseason. Sources close to the teams suggest that Lamar Jackson, the electrifying quarterback who's been the face of the Baltimore Ravens for years, is making a shocking move. He is reportedly leaving Baltimore and has agreed to a 2-year deal with the Buffalo Bills. While official announcements are still pending, the buzz around this potential blockbuster is deafening. Jackson's tenure with the Ravens has been a roller coaster of unforgettable plays, jaw-dropping runs, and moments of sheer brilliance that have redefined the quarterback position. But whispers in league circles indicate that disagreements over the team's direction and contract negotiations may have pushed the dynamic signal caller to explore greener pastures. Enter Buffalo, a team hungry for a quarterback who can inject explosive energy into the offense and give Josh Allen a run for his money. or perhaps even serve as a new face of the franchise alongside him in a dual-threat system. Insiders suggest that the 2-year contract gives both Jackson and the Bills a trial period, a sort of test-the-waters scenario where expectations will be sky-high and the pressure will be immense. Fans in Buffalo are reportedly ecstatic at the possibility, envisioning Lamar in the blue and white, dashing through defenses at high speed, and orchestrating plays that could tilt the AFC East balance dramatically. Meanwhile, Ravens supporters are said to be in shock, torn between disappointment and admiration for a player who's delivered some of the most unforgettable moments in team history. While nothing is officially confirmed, social media is ablaze with speculation, memes, and hot takes, and sports talk shows are scrambling to make sense of the news. Could this be the beginning of a new era for Buffalo? Will Lamar Jackson redefine what it means to be a Bills quarterback? And what does this mean for the Ravens' future? Are they ready to rebuild around a new face, or will the team scramble to retain relevance in the absence of their former star? For now, the league holds its breath. If the rumors hold true, the NFL landscape is about to be rewritten, and one thing is certain. Lamar Jackson in Buffalo would make next season must-see television. Stay tuned, because if this deal goes through, it might just be the most talked-about move in years. That's a wrap for now. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay on top of all things Buffalo Bills, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you think in the comments. See you in the next update.